My story starts at a time when I was around 4 years old. I'd have no idea that in my life I would learn such strange and heavy things were going on all around me, and I had no idea. To start the story, I have to first go back and recall what my father said is no matter how horrific or strange or abnormal the truth is, one must follow the truth no matter what. When I was 4, I was able to get away from a very evil man, Peter Nygard. I only escaped into a lifelong, ongoing crime that took me years to unpack, and most didn't come back until 2020. But first, I had to go through a learning curve, as most of us do. And somehow, my experiences with the high strange led me to come to understand human sovereignty was lost, and we were fighting a type of evil that was so pervasive by its nature, by being invisible, that it involved most aspects of our lives from the time we're all born, and that there would be no justice for me if there were not justice for all. Because so many were involved, they complicated the conspiracy deliberately.
Just cause where you at? DJ Serious, where you at? 4th IQ, where you at? Roundabout. This is something new for y'all. And this is where everything ends. And new shit must begin. You don't follow me? Yo, check this shit out. D, the dominant MC, deteriorating human defense.
There's a good chance if you've seen a UFO, puts you in a higher category for the potential of being one of their subjects of interest. There's strange events at tail ends. Lights, feelings, notion of presence, awkwardness or smell, ocean. I always get a little nervous when I'm not near the ocean and I smell the ocean. To me, something's up. I didn't expect to speak to Larry as much about 9/11 as we did. I shouldn't find it surprising that he'd be interested in that event, but what he is discussing, what he's mentioned, A, that he had premonitions about the event, and that he was the only family member of a Jewish person who died in that event. That he says that. It's very interesting and seems to maybe perhaps have something to do with his visions. Falling towers, burning buildings, great structures, nearly days before.
Disgusting heat on the street like the metal that be blocking mass scrotum they be holding. Mind spray like AK, that's automatic. They release the beast in me.
I'm just a guy who, since he's a kid, hasn't felt right about what's around him, has felt a great sense of everything being contrived. Being a young man and asking my mom why I had an implant. Some object, some foreign object in my body, which I had no idea why I would feel like that. It's a 5-year-old, it's a 6-year-old, it's a 7-year-old. No memories as a child, just feelings, notions, outer body experiences, levitating out of my bed, flying dreams, metallic taste in my mouth. Stuck in asteroids for hours. That was the recurring dream with the metallic flavor.
Of the city in one place, never show a video on a dumb face. Fire like a one place, engine to the rescue. Guaranteed to mess you up and stretch you. Running the spot, making it hot to handle. Wanna struggle and survive. It's me, piece of mega, mad live, indirect. Live off this rap life, eat off these checks. You want respect, you better earn it.
If there was a three potential then. The failed experiment actually was used in a sentence by someone who was involved in this. And there was a visit from a forces to this guy. I'm not sure he's still around, he's deceased by now. But I have his name, and I have the original article. And this is a key element. It links a whole group of things together to form a whole. In my estimation, we're talking about evolution itself. Second of all, who was behind, or what was behind original evolution on this planet. And my theory, and it's only a theory at the moment, is that we were seated here as an experiment. Like, you see two creatures there. I think they're swimming. The one's got some sort of rod in water. Anyway, what this military officer of Canadian Armed Forces said was to Robert, they said to him, what was the cause of World War II?
Yeah.
And he didn't have the reply. Okay, he didn't know.
Okay.
He just said that, and that's all.
Right.
Then, Robert said to him, and I think this is a colonel, I'm not sure of his rank, they said to him, we are part of the failed experiment. In other words, Adam and Eve were brought here from some other place to see if things could work out, and you keep track of where they go and what they do with some device, which I have.
Grow on trees. I got a forest full of trees with pounds of seeds.
Like you ready? Come from another planet or something.
We're going to space.
You're a good looking guy, Larry.
It's an official bag.
Well, that's right.
Get in touch with them. I knew a few guys who were involved in all sorts of stuff. Buzz Aldrin, John Lennon, and Roberto Bondar, and the Russians, the KGB.
That's right.
They're quite interested.
And you had a friend at CSIS. What was his name?
No, I don't give it names.
Yes, here we go. So,
July 12th, 1961. In Don Mills, in apartment room, second floor. This thing came down. They went inside, put this thing in and left. In a left ear lobe.
okay.
July 12th, 1961. AD. Anno Domini. Very small.
And that was after death they took that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
1989.
1989.
20 years later or so. Implants are made of with three elements. Technologically speaking, individually they don't do much.
Right.
Together they form a monitoring device.
Oh, interesting. So
And they
they
emit a signal as they monitor. It lasts a few years, a couple of years, and it dies away.
Okay.
Then they put another in somebody else. They've always got these things going here and there.
Okay.
Most people don't know about them. There are probably a dozen I've heard of. There could be 1,000.
Chipped by the government, not potato chip. I mean, like implanted chip. Have you ever gotten surgery in the United States? Yes, I have. Do you mind if I just check you out with my chip detector?
Please.
I'm sure this doctor was fantastic, but sometimes you'll get a chip that's implanted. Sometimes the doctor is under the control of the government. So far.
yes,
Your baby fingernail.
the one that came out of my nose was precisely that size.
Yeah, what was it?
It looked like flesh. It was an organic ball.
It's different.
Yeah,
This
but it
one's
had
black.
a black thing inside that looked like a little triangle.
That's the
Or
core.
yeah, so I think there's a protective outside.
It could be.
Yeah.
This one here, it's black and it has a protective element that's also black.
Okay.
It's like a shell over top of it.
Oh, interesting.
Was there anything else about that?
I couldn't break through the orb,
Anything sticking out
the
of it?
membrane. I think there must have been like a little finger that I've seen in footage online
It
that
says
looks
two.
like they could move
There's
autonomously.
others that, well, the 12 that I know of.
Oh wow.
Most of them have little like antenna.
Yeah.
sticking out.
Okay.
I assume it's something like that, or just meant to look that way.
Okay.
Cover type of thing, so people know what it is.
Uh-huh.
They'll assume that that's what it is. And
Yeah.
the monitoring is done throughout the world, throughout the planet.
Right.
And they probably do this wherever they go. They monitor everybody.
Right.
Now, the signals were heard by this one lady who was involved in extraction in a university laboratory and in a hospital.
Yes, this is where you obtain your
okay,
lens.
okay.
Just the smallest
That
amount. Oh.
device emitted two kinds of signals, depending on who you're talking to. Mostly it was a beeping sound
Yep.
or a buzzing sound.
Okay.
Now, the one lady,
Yep.
her name was
So
Betty
much
Stewart,
for us having our
she was
we
contacted
never had her.
twice, and she was given 2 implants, and she's passed away, but one is still inside her in the grave.
Okay.
And that was from the year 1925. The one what I have here is from 1961.
Right.
From 1925, there's no such thing as electronics. Not then.
Right.
61, yes.
Okay.
So there's that. Okay, now what we're also concerned with is when these devices came along and they were used. There were things that we invented here on Earth which were similar. One was Marconi's invention. There's a Marconi station run by this lady. She said, it sounded to me like this is Morse code. Okay? And then she's talking about the one in 1961, not the one in 1925, which looked exactly the same.
So,
So she said the signals died down after a couple of years. I didn't hear them anymore. So whatever it was, wasn't working anymore. Whatever they transmitting signals and so on.
So it was similar in the sense that she heard that constantly in her ear, or just every now and then it would start emitting
She
a
didn't
pulse.
say that. She didn't say exactly. We didn't ask the right questions. She said it was most of the time.
Right.
Like, what is 70%, 10%, 50%? They put these things in and leave them, and they monitor whatever the transmission goes on from them and back and forth, so they can see a pattern of behavior.
Yeah.
It's 1 by 1.5 millimeters. It may be a transducer and or a transmitter. So this is 1961. The three elements in here: silicone, titanium, and aluminum. And there were traces only of iron, potassium, calcium, sulfur, chlorine, and sodium. So this analysis was done in 1995, on January 6th, in Mississauga, at Panasonic.
Yo. Check. You don't know me, where I'm from or what my town is. Cause I keep moving, stay nomadic and I'm bouncing. One thing is for certain, T-Dot is my rest. I'm around every corner and at any sort of sweet spot. I beat streets harder.
Okay.
Let's see. I don't see it reacting.
Oh no, interesting.
It might just be. But you said it was analyzed?
Yeah. Yeah, he's had that thing analyzed twice. One
Let me move it.
at U of T and once at the Panasonic labs. He also said it gave off a radio signal detectable for 2 years.
But not signed to a major, we just blaze a full circle. Only my fam knows my last name. My name's just a number anyway. Even inside, I'll be 23778. Number 12 at the grocery, I just wanna pay. Only my fam knows my last name. My name's just a number anyway.
We come to conquer like monsters, devour, infiltrate, soul control, no saviors. Merciless scriptures burn whispers of a coup. Gas to can burn you, don't talk, just walk. Ask them, cause you say you on the block. Are you scared to get shot or robbed? Ignore the perpetrators like pork.
Part of human history, by decade, has wars, and wars got worse and worse and worse. The next war, if it's World War III, it'll be the end of everything. Then you can start fresh on. It's very, if you think of a very cold attitude toward this whole thing on the military's part, they're just thinking in terms of war and that's what, if their education, their training, and so on. And so they're not surprised when they hear this sort of technical term used to describe the human race and experimental. That's more of a sociological thing than psychology.
Yeah.
So we're dealing with something that's multifaceted. It's not just military, it's psychological, sociological, and genetics, all this sort of thing involved.
Right.
Okay, so it's a question of how you manipulate the people involved in things like terrorism. Do you start it yourself? Well, the Americans started the whole terrorism thing by starting Al Qaeda and all these other things, and these groups to go after the Russians who might come back through Iraq and get the oil. It's all about oil. Okay. So that was it's a technological battle and a monetary battle, money. Okay.
Yes.
Now maybe on some other planet the experiment worked out, things were fine. The analysis was done also at the University of Toronto immediately after the surgery. The shape of each of the three main elements, aluminum has a face-centered cube crystal type of thing. Titanium is a cubic crystalline structure, and silicon has an allotropic form like dark crystalline diamond. So there are similarities in the look of them, although they have different functions.
Yeah.
Aluminum will conduct heat and electricity. Titanium, if it's in the form of barium titanate, it's piezoelectric. It uses a transducer to the interconversion of sound and electricity. Silicon is used in transistors and other semiconductors. So we're talking about conductors. So you conduct signals from one place to another, maybe a million miles away. Maybe not.
Well, if it's scalar waves, yes.
Okay. Now, Betty Stewart was her name. She said she heard signals from it, like Morse code, and she heard it for years after her third abduction on July 12, 1961. That was the third time. There was only 2 implants. The second one, and the signals gradually bothered her less and less as the strength went away. And she heard words at times, but she couldn't understand the language. And we didn't find out about her situation until 1985. We had hypnosis done on an aggressive basis by Dr. David Gottlieb, Gotlib. All these 3 elements that I talked about resist corrosion for the perfect one. Each one is perfect for its purpose. So you can't have salt in your system and that would eat away at something else.
Yeah.
Silicon, you can mix that with sulfur to form a compound, or form alloys like those with aluminum. Aluminum and titanium are ductile, they're conducting. They're used in aircraft and spacecraft. Sulfur is a crystalline item when it's solid. Titanium and sulfur are found in meteorites. This is something that there is some speculation on. Are meteorites larger versions in some way, or what this is? Maybe not. But they have the elements.
Interesting.
Yeah. If that's done, then there's a lot more information given to these creatures from here than we suspect.
Yeah.
If not, then it's just these implants. So they're very tiny. They're only 1/1/8 inch diameter. Worldwide, there's a lot of people interested in the topic. Paul Hellyer was one. He and I were columnists in the same magazine. It was 1977.
Yeah.
Yeah, 77. I had my first sighting then.
Oh, right.
The first death threat. Yeah. And some company who was making transistors, that sort of thing, like Hewlett Packard, they the one that made the phone call to me. I didn't get the call back. Late wife got that one.
That's the one.
What the person said.
Yeah.
And, so that's business.
Yeah.
It's just that it's very different business from most what people do when they deal with Hewlett Packard.
Yeah.
It's not generally known, obviously.
Right.
So they get upset. I don't blame them. No way. The only thing that did happen was my wife died. They threatened my daughter. They said my daughter would die if you tell the media. I was in the media.
Yeah, what was exactly that, if you tell the media about what you saw?
They will die.
Yeah, because Hewlett Packard was creating this craft and they really didn't want you to notice, but...
Well, they weren't creating the craft. What they were doing is using a chip
Okay.
in Toronto, over the city, inside this craft, to guide it silently over the skies.
Right.
And very slowly.
Right.
But more than like 5 miles an hour.
Donate to CIUT 89.5 FM today. Go to www.ciut.fm for more information.
CIUT 89.5, the new sound of your city. Please call 416-946-7800.
The organization with a shady past, because it had connections to the Nazis both during the 1930s and during the war, that is running the world today. Now, it's running the world because it has the input from the banking system, from Wall Street and the City of London, and it's really the sort of the headquarters for the way that they manipulate us for their benefit and on ours, our detriment. Then the third organization, after a few years, Japan started to build up a little bit. Zygmunt Brzezinski said, well, we should have a way of bringing together not only Europe and America, that we have already done, but we should also try and bring the Japanese in a little bit. So he suggested a new trilateral commission. And he brought this idea to David Rockefeller, and Rockefeller liked it. So he took it to the Bilderberg meeting of that year, and they liked it. And that was all he needed, was to come back, all the inspiration or approval needed to come back and start the trilateral commission. So these 3 organizations are all working together. There's a lot of common membership. And I have a chapter on them called the Three Sisters. But believe me, they're powerful. And it's difficult to know who's most powerful, because the Bilderbergers and the Council on Foreign Relations both say they are. One of them has to be, but maybe it's just the 2 of them put together. And they are at the head, the apex of the cabal. Well, then you have beneath the banking cartel, you have the oil cartel. And then you have the multinational corporations. Then significant elements of the intelligence organizations. And then significant elements of the United States Armed Forces. And they're all working together. And by the early post-war years, there was in the United States a shadow government. There was really this cabal running the United States and using money power to manipulate. It was so bad, it's more powerful than either the President of the United States. Incidentally, they picked the Council of Foreign Relations, picked the presidents in advance, and they get one for each party in case, so it doesn't matter who gets elected. And they manipulate Congress so that neither the President nor the Congress of the United States are running the United States and haven't been for 50 years. Now, there are a lot of Americans I know that don't know this. And it's hard to believe, but maybe they should find out soon before it's too late. And to give you an idea of how secretive they were, right from the beginning, General Eisenhower got wind that they were doing some very interesting things in some areas in Nevada and Arizona and so forth. And he wanted to know what was going on out there. They wouldn't tell him. And finally, he threatened to send the Third Army to Colorado and take over areas 51, S4, and so on, if they wouldn't accept someone to go out and see and report to him as to what they were actually doing. So they capitulated. They sent about 3 of his confidants out and reported to him as to what they were doing. But he's the last president that has ever done that. The Republican presidents are told a little more of what's going on than the Democratic presidents, but none of them are told very much. They're told that there are extraterrestrials and that there are several species of them, and most of them are benign, and there's nothing but good for us. But there's one species that is not friendly, but they never said it was. And I, for one, would love to know.
Draco-reptilian.
Pardon me?
The Draco-reptilian.
So I've heard.
Yeah.
So I've heard, yes.
And you're right and great.
But it would be nice if they could all say so.
Well, they've been here since the dawn of time.
Well, time's a long way back. It's a long way back, from what you're saying, I think you're probably right. Anyway, this has been going on and for a long while, and what the so-called cabal decided was that they wanted to build what they call a New World Order. And in politics, one of the first things you'll learn is that you should have that word new in everything. It's a new deal. It's a new day. It's a new policy. It's a new term. Always new has to be in the slogan. So they got the New World Order, but they didn't originate it. It was originated in Germany in the 1930s. And unfortunately, the New World Order that is planned today has some very similar earmarks to the one that was being followed in Germany in the 1930s. And so we have the situation, I didn't mention, I'm sure a lot of you know, that after World War II, there were quite a few German scientists who were brought into the United States under Operation Paperclip. And the President Truman distinctly told the military that they couldn't bring in anybody who had had a close association with the Nazi Party. Well, if you know the military and their relationship with civilians, heard what he said, and brought in scientists who had quite high-ranking Nazis. And they were the ones who really got things going in the Western United States, where they were replicating the alien technology and developing anti-gravity ships and building terrible weapons of destruction and doing all of the other things. And so it has a very shady mixture that we have here. It's kind of hard to know who's on first. But you know that the members are the apex, and then it sort of comes down from there, except that there's the unknown quantity in the whole thing is the extraterrestrials, who are the ones, some of them, were working with the Germans in the 1930s and during the war, and who came over with the scientists. So we have a very delicate situation, and I have a friend called Carol Rosin, some of you would have heard of her. Dr. Carol Rosin, who worked with Wernher von Braun, who was one of the first scientists to come over, the one who had developed the missiles that they were lobbing on London during the war. And von Braun mellowed later in his life, and he was very concerned about the so-called military-industrial complex. He said they have to have an enemy, because they have to have an enemy to justify huge military expenditures, which otherwise wouldn't be justified. And if they didn't have an enemy, then they couldn't make so much money building armaments, and they couldn't have so many generals, and it just would be a very different power structure than the one that we have seen. And he told Carol Rosin, he said, they have to have an enemy. He said, first it will be the communists, then it will be the terrorists, and then it will be the extraterrestrials. And one of the things that I found out that I didn't know was that Wall Street had actually helped to finance the Bolshevik Revolution. And so they were in on creating the communist threat. And then, of course, helping to finance the war against communism, making a lot of money out of it. And then they created the terrorists. before 9/11, a handful of terrorists, and they could easily have coped with the situation by police and intelligence.
Yeah, so in the sugar smooth back end, you can see climbing backs like the letter.
It's Mike's magnet motor that he lost to this Turk guy that just built this unit for him based on his drawings. No audio, we'll just have a quick flash through. Looks a lot like the Torians. Looks like he's got sparkers set up. It's ready to create voltage. Looks like he's got a belt drive set up on this end. Mike's partner, who lives here in Brampton, claims he saw it himself run for over an hour. I'm not aware of any voltage or kilowatts created, but looks good. Looks a bit bigger than I was expecting. So there should be. His new drawings have some changes in this. Looks like that was the problem. He wanted to be able to tweak it.
It's got a copper. Yes, it has. Insert, and it's got sort of an electrode-looking scenario in the middle of what looks like it.
And that's alum. Just something to demonstrate that yes, it is possible to have another power source, another energy source. You see, it's just slam them in the face. Oh, it can't be done, hey?
Yeah.
Start dropping the water on that.
Simultaneously, I wake up and come around like this. A brilliant orb that's about 6 to 8 centimeters in diameter that have spurs of light that are shafting sort of out from this core.
I'm going to be talking about some of my experiences and techniques that I personally learned while I was at the Monroe Institute in Faber, Virginia.
The time of your life flashes before your eyes.
2014, my ex-wife put me through, and my children, family law warfare, and I found the clausula rebus sextantibus, which breaks the social contract to a satanic monarch. Canada is not being what we thought, and I needed a way out. I found it. It was like Nala's glasses in They Live. Break the fraud of the birth certificate bond.
Outside your jurisdiction.
But as for your POA matter today, it has been withdrawn. There is no need for you to attend the court today.
The mafia can move the police around like chess pieces on a board. It got to the point where one day I found out Laura Gaylor, or Silsby, was working, or is working, at the Monocliffs Inn in this picture. And when they found out that I knew that she was who she was, George had my brother Jason send me this text, which is obviously a veiled threat because I was probing into Laura and as well his adrenochrome labs. My children's stepfather, Phil, my friend who was trying to help me, ended up being found hung in his garage nearly by my children, which he was definitely not suicidal.
The other third type that got mentioned on Mission was reptilians. But every time that they were mentioned, it was really quickly hushed up by whoever else was on the other end of the line. Shut up, don't say that.
Calling out for help, but behind I see nobody rolling. It's just me by myself.
Coded messages in it. All you have to do is see. But not with the two eyes you have.
I actually confronted him when I was, I guess, 4 or 5, when I felt more confident to speak.
To tell my parents of what danger we were in because of this man around my family, but it was pretty hard to convey to anyone for a year that something had happened, or less, maybe a little less, but when I did get to convey, that something had happened at that mall to my parents, that meant that I had to explain to them there was another man involved.
Very abusive, all right, and called me ugly, and he told me, don't you ever tell anyone that, and
my brother's in the car, mom and dad, and we get to the mall, and I remember we're walking through a sea of people. I'm overwhelmed by how many people are around me. Something on the left distracted my brother and my father and my mom, and they went towards whatever it was they were looking at, and I got distracted by something on my right. Next thing I know, really quickly after that, I was being led down an escalator by someone who had swept me away by grabbing my hand, and he was signaling that my parents were that way, and I'm fighting and saying, no, I know they're behind me to my left. And I'm looking at this man, and I have no idea who he is. He looks like he just walked out of a poster. He's got brand new clothing on. I'm terrified. I'm a kid knowing that I'm in a lot of trouble, and that I sensed right away. There was something about him, I guess, that I picked up on, or that, just simply what he was doing was enough to cue me. I gestured to him that, my parents are that way, and he pointed, yeah, they're out that way in the car or in the parking lot. And I could see that exit, and the escalator was packed with people, and I sort of looked at him and gestured, oh, okay, and gave him my trust. And this is where I feel like I earned the title of the boy with the slippery hand, because I just pulled my hand out from his. I knew there was no way I could overcome the guy's strength, but I knew I was fast, and I zipped up the escalator.
Of every little cut you made, of every tear you take, 'cause I figured out your devious plan.
I'm doing some investigating revolving around the death of Michael Hall, and to do with the arrest of Peter Nygaard.
The actual death was his heart stopped from a blood clot that came from the combination of cocktailing painkiller drugs. And it was because the doctors, we were told, couldn't read each other's handwriting. At Mount Sinai, 96, 95, 96, Christmas and so we lost him. That was sort of where it was for a long time. That's all we knew.
Prove me wrong.
I just wondered if you wanted to help me corroborate some dates and some faces, peoples, places, names.
Yeah, so I don't think he wanted to help me much. I called him with a bunch of that stuff, and it goes on. But basically, he's very and a lot of and a lot of and so the things get a little intense with my brothers after this, because obviously I've stirred up the big Papa cheese, and it's kind of helping me get a little bit more deduction as to who's an ally here and who's not.
If those flies, I'll use this.
Okay, ready to go for it?
Die alone. This world is about the scriptures, grief and crime.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have sent him that email and just calling him out for being someone involved in child trafficking, and should be more sensitive to how criminals are maybe more paranoid than, you know. They were mafia, and I had a run-in with this family member when we sold a family farm, and they came and helped clear me out, ditched all my stuff and dumped it in a dumpster. I got mad, filmed him. So after that, he didn't like me filming him, so he had his mafia friends come and visit me quite often in summer of 2018. And getting married, unfortunately, to the potentially asset of the gang crime that I'm trying to get away from my whole life, and I'm in this what I call a criminally yoked situation for my whole life almost, by this family that's been keeping me quiet. Turns out they're really high up Canadian crime, involved with other high up Canadian crime, and I'm aware that they're involved directly with Nygaard. Family friend there, an email saying, hey, I know, and I know it all, and my kids know, we all know, it's out. And that resulted, the first thing in the summer, it's pretty clear to me he sent some friends in. Nygaard News, we're all aware that he's into the coprophilia thing.
I provided service for these good people.
He interrogated me, and he, after I described Nygaard being the guy who tried to take me, told me to shut the fuck up and ugly, don't you ever fucking tell anybody, fucking ugly. And that's when the abuse started, and that's when shit kind of got buried. I tucked it away after that. My parents sided with him, and that was the end. I bury it, I guess, compartmentalize it in my mind. I forget about it until 2020. It's June, past June. And so my life's gotten really hectic because I kind of had to call him out on it, and that's probably a bad idea. But yeah, it's been a lot of bad ideas. Malignant narcissist, and most likely in a very serious rage about his situation, holding me, and how I could tell that affected him. I remember at least 3 times him getting phone calls and his attitude changing, as if it was Nygaard himself calling to check on if I was being maintained to the way he was liking.
Especially when you're crying when you see something like that.
Starting at the very front of this container, it was just wall clear to the ceiling and clear to the sides, filled with them.
Like, there's people who go missing, you know that whole thing? They go missing, you get turned into McDonald's.
McDonald's is famous for its burgers, selling approximately 75 every second. Of course, this means that the fast food giant must be doing something right when sandwiching their signature all-beef patties inside of a simple bun. But what makes these burgers so delicious? Here's the secret.
They found human remains in McDonald's burgers this year.
There are priests that little boys, Catholic priests. There are people that little babies and take their organs or their blood or their sweat and drink it. There are people that eat human flesh because they think what's going on. I never wanted to be in this club where you join something, you make a deal with the devil, you sell your fucking soul, and then you have to hide for the rest rest of your life. I'm not playing this game.
One time for that. Come on, yo. Ain't no stopping this. Come on, yo. Yo.